Minecraft is one of those games that lets you be creative in more ways than one. I mean, sure, there's a ton of games out there that let you be creative. That's kind of what the whole sandbox genre of games is. But Minecraft has a little bit more going for it. Besides the fact you can basically build whatever you want, with the limits and boundaries being pushed every single day, Minecraft has the special ability that it not only lets you build whatever, but it also gives you the ability to tell whatever story you want. And I mean, I can't stress enough how much of a cool phenomenon this is. Instead of seeing Minecraft as this kind of generic world, storytellers saw a blank canvas for which they can use to captivate viewers. It can be argued that some of the greatest pieces of internet media to come out in recent years has been stuff made in Minecraft. Like, don't get me started on the masterpiece that is Searching for a World That Doesn't Exist. It's so freaking good. I think that Minecraft's storytelling factor can be accredited to the fact that Minecraft is a really barren game. It's kind of similar to other games like Gary's Mod, where there's just so much nothingness that the player has to conjure up stories to keep themselves from going insane. Now, I could sit here for hours telling you guys how cool it is that Minecraft is being used to tell all these different cool stories, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I want to introduce you guys to one of the greatest roleplay YouTubers that utilize Minecraft's storytelling potential to its fullest. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you NewScapePro. Now, NewScapePro is kind of this big juicy burger of a channel, so let's start by introducing its creator. I want you to meet Corey Crater. Now, Corey's a bit of an interesting individual for the fact he's been engaging in the art form of Minecraft roleplays and machinima for way before he started NewScapePro. Now, some of you may have forgotten what machinimas are, so just to quickly remind you, machinima is an animation technique using real-time screen capturing and computer graphics engines, video games, and virtual worlds to create a cinematic production. Basically, anytime you see a Minecraft roleplay, Gmod roleplay, any roleplay in video games, that is technically a machinima. And like I said earlier, Corey has been engaging in Minecraft machinimas for years. The background footage I was playing was actually from one of his older projects called the Fugu Complex, which according to some re-uploads on YouTube is well over 11 years old. So he's had his head in the game for quite a while. A matter of fact, during the earlier days of Corey's content creating career, Corey actually worked under another popular YouTuber, Sky Does Minecraft, at their company, Sky Media. Sky Does Minecraft, that's a name that makes you tug your collar. However, after a couple of years, Corey wasn't content working under somebody. He wanted his own piece of the Minecraft machinima pie. That's why in 2016, Corey completely refurbished the NewScapePro channel and started uploading content that would make him known today. And in this video, I want to go over the most popular roleplays he did. I'm not going to talk about every single roleplay, because if I did, we would be here until the heat death of the universe and you would be like 70,000 years old. But with that being said, I'm going to start off with one of his older creations, his Fallout roleplay. Now, it's kind of crazy that this roleplay exists, because Fallout is one of those video game franchises where you kind of have to go with the common opinion. Like, if you dare say you like any elements from Fallout 3 or Fallout 4, then an army of Redditors break into your house and turn you into a Terrifier scene. It's like, you can't argue with these people. And I know in my Venturian Tale video, I said I didn't really like Fallout 3. Well, that's not entirely true. I kinda like it. Wait, who are you people? Ah! Ah! Now, I'm gonna try my best to give you a brief synopsis of the Fallout series, because there's like 5 seasons of it, and some of it is spread across multiple channels, with probably a quarter of it just gone. And I wish I was kidding. When I was doing research for this video, I found a wiki that had all the links to each of the episodes of the Fallout roleplay, and only half of them worked.
Holy Christ, there's nothing left.
So just bear with me on this one. The series follows a lot of the same story beats from Fallout 4, with Corey being depicted as a man with a camera melted to his face. I think that's the canonical explanation too. He was taking a picture and it just melted to his face, waking up in Vault 11 after being cryogenically frozen. From there, Corey finds a note addressed to him from his biggest fan, which might be me, guys. Once Corey reaches the surface, he runs into a talking dog played by none other than Unicomics. Now, Unicomics is a name that's heavily tied to the channel, and you usually know when it's him because he has the most British accent I've ever heard.
That's right, you didn't think Now that this is
From there, Corey and Uni explore ruins, get into multiple gunfights, befriend a ghoul and a sleazy salesman, and set out to find a world full of green, a greener place. Basically the Oasis from Fallout 3, but it's called the greener place, so there's a total difference. And of course, like I said, I'm giving you guys the SparkNotes version of the story. I am leaving out details like the robot and Deathclaw companions that show up, along with the whole story with the Enclave. But guys, the Enclave show up in every single Fallout game, so if you want to hear about more of the Enclave, go play Fallout. Or if you don't want to do that, go watch 10,000 My Little Dark Age edits. However, the reason why I'm talking about the Fallout roleplay is because it serves as a precursor to what the roleplays on NewScapePro would become. So, with that being said, we should definitely tune into a roleplay that's a little bit more refined. Something underground. Now this is a series that I actually watched. Well, part of it. You see, like all the other roleplays on NewScapePro, their Undertale series was just one small part of their expansive universe. Meaning with their larger roleplays, NewScapePro would make smaller pieces of content on the side. These additional pieces of content often followed Corey and Flowey, played by John, traveling to other worlds based on popular Undertale AUs. And for those who weren't really big into the Undertale scene in like 2016, Undertale AUs are exactly what they sound like. Alternate universes where the Undertale characters are just different in some way somehow. This often included things like personality swaps, being in a whole different setting like outer space, or just everyone being dead for some reason. I don't know why they did that.
Carl, that kills people!
oh,
These videos from NewScapePro were the ones I mainly watched while growing up. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that I never really watched the main Undertale roleplay with Corey and Shovel. I'm a little bit of a LARPer, not gonna lie. But from what I do know is that the roleplay kind of just covers the main story of Undertale. There's no drastic differences that are made. Besides the exceptions of Corey being shoehorned in as his own character,
Who the fuck are you?
and then Frisk being played by Shovel, like I mentioned earlier. Which, I don't want to sound like somebody's 50-year-old dad on Twitter complaining about how everything is woke now, but I just can't see Frisk as a girl.
Does that feminoid have to be here?
I think I watched, like, if Undertale was realistic one too many times, because I can only see Frisk as, like, an it that drinks beer and is, like, British. But that's just my personal headcanon of the character. That doesn't say anything about the performance of Shovel in the roleplay. But moving on from that, NewScapePro had a sequel series to their Undertale roleplay, being their coverage of Underfell, which is another Undertale AU, being one of the most popular, where basically every single one of the characters has their edginess turned up all the way. We're talking like 100%. But yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but Undertale was definitely one of the channel's biggest heavy hitters. It makes me wonder if they were still around today, would they have covered Deltarune?
Bitch lasagna! I can't remember what happened in September.
Hey, at the Creepypasta Mansion, who do you think has the job of picking up Smile Dogs' shit? Look, I'm not going to insult your intelligence by explaining to you what creepypastas are. They're synonymous with horror on the internet and practically the internet itself at this point. Like, if you were to show a 90-year-old a picture of Jeff the Killer, one, they would probably have a heart attack, and two, they would probably be like, oh, that's the scary emo boy.
He just navigated up on a tickling, yeah!
With how popular creepypastas are, it's really no surprise to hear that NewScapePro made roleplays out of them. And the channel's creepypasta series is a little different from all their other roleplays, with it being an anthology. But the difference is so minuscule that it might as well be between a red apple and a green apple. There's still that main apple story flesh to bite into. That story being a group of thieves who break into an abandoned mansion to, I guess, steal files that have the creepypasta stories on them. Which I don't know why they need to do that. I think they can just go on any 14-year-old's AO3 account and get what they need.
There's so much porn!
But as the three thieves move throughout the house, they soon get caught up in a plot that has the actual real creepypastas chasing after them for some mysterious reason. To my knowledge, they don't really give a reason as to why they need the thieves, but Slenderman's behind it, and he's like the creepypasta guy, so I trust him.
Little hero bride, I'm coming in your mom.
And if you're wondering how the creepypastas are able to like actually be real within the story, well, it's because whenever they read one of those black files, the creepypasta comes to life. I don't know if you guys remember it, but there was this Goosebumps movie that kind of had the same thing going for it. Fun fact, I didn't know what R.L. Stine looked like, so I thought that R.L. Stine's character in the movie, who was played by Jack Black, is actually what he looked like.
Embarrassing.
Going back to the creepypasta stories, NewScapePro definitely took some creative liberties when deciding how to adapt the tales. I mean, it's important to remember that some of these creepypastas were written by literal 14-year-olds and are objectively bad. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and have you tell me that Jeff the Killer's A Thing of Bleach is Shakespearean genius. An example of this could be how they changed the Rake to pretty much be the Shy Guy from SCP. Which, guys, I know that the Rake is pretty much a naked man running through the woods, but I would have hoped for a little bit of originality. I mean, sometimes when they change something, it's cool. Like when they changed the Smile Dog story to be a prequel from the perspective of the lady who gives the Smile Dog image to the narrator of the original story. Stories like that are cool, and not the 10,000 The Killer creepypastas they decided to do for some reason. This is probably a video idea for another day, but back when Jeff the Killer got really popular, everybody wanted to make their own teenage psychopath. Like you got Jane the Killer, Nina the Killer, Tiki Toby, which is just a mean name for a killer with Tourette's, by the way. It's like having an illiterate killer called Dyslexic Dan. We also have the Painter, the Doll Maker, Clockwork. At some point, it stops becoming like a cool murderous group and just an alt polycule. Like if I wanted to hear about this many emo people who want to kill their parents, I would go on to Discord, alright? But going back to the main roleplay itself, the story eventually culminates into a battle with Slenderman versus Zalgo, where Zalgo literally Dr. Manhattan's Smile Dog and then goes on to defeat Slenderman. The last season of the SCP roleplay turns into a final battle against Zalgo as he threatens to destroy the world, or cover it in an ugly red filter like he usually does with everything else. And hopefully that kind of gives you a gist of what NewScapePro's creepypasta series was like. You know, that series had a lot of creepypastas. Makes me think that somebody should contain them. Somebody should secure, contain, protect them. Somebody should... You know, the SCP community is a place that is filled with so much creativity, but they just use it to make 10,000 murder monsters that will kill you 10 times over. And I guess, I mean, they're still being creative, technically, but you can always be creative in a bad way. And trust me, I have many examples. Fortunately, NewScapePro's SCP roleplay is nothing but good creativity all around. One would have to hope for a series with 228 episodes to date. And I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer as to why there's so many episodes. With there being so many SCPs, they can kind of like make content for a very long time. But I don't want to give you a negative impression of a story I haven't even explained yet, so let's get into it. The first season of the SCP roleplay is pretty basic, with Corey joining the SCP Foundation as a desk jockey only to be caught in a very dangerous containment breach. And I mean, screw whatever happened at Site 13, man, because this place is way worse. You got SCPs like 610, 682, 106. Basically, every SCP that can kill you in the worst way possible is here in this facility. Eventually, at the end of Season 1, Corey and a security guard named Hooper, who's a character that has this freaking crazy character arc throughout the series, it's genuinely insane, managed to escape from the facility and then get promoted to field duty, which segues into Season 2. And I don't know why the SCP Foundation in this universe would think that field duty is a promotion. I like looking at the dangerous murder monster from behind the glass. I don't want to be bear hugging it. But in terms of quality for Season 2, I'd say it's definitely a step up from Season 1. Each episode follows the format of Corey and the task force he's assigned with, getting sent out into various missions across the globe to recover a missing SCP. From where the SCP runs out of control and hijinks ensue. Hijinks being everybody but the main characters dying in horrific ways. At some point in the series, Corey gets detained and is then labeled as SCP-4000, which, I mean, the guy literally has a camera for a face. This actually gets followed up on when eventually Corey meets with the Scarlet King and it's revealed that Corey is actually a child of the Scarlet King. You know, the creature that's essentially the big bad of the SCP universe and was in a bunch of those power scaling TikToks back in like 2021. Talk about crazy OC lore. Actually, since we're on the subject, I'm pretty sure you noticed by now that Corey inserts himself into every single roleplay he does as a main character. I'm actually not too upset about this. I mean, think about it. Corey had to write out a script, act it out in Minecraft probably like 10 times, and then edit it for like a 10,000 hours. And even when they got editors to help out with making videos, it was probably still a long process from editing to uploading. So damn, I put myself into the Bendy roleplay too.
Bendy was a little devil thing.
But for the SCP roleplay, it eventually becomes a showcase for individual SCPs in the later seasons. There still is an ongoing story, but I completely forgot it. Guys, please, there's 200 episodes. Cut me some slack. But you know, since I talked about the SCP roleplay, I want to talk about what NewScapePro is doing now. You see, there was a point in time where NewScapePro had like 10 different channels, one of them being for animation, another one being for Fortnite roleplays, which is a niche market, I will say. But with having so many channels, eventually Corey suffered from extreme burnout. And I mean, we all suffer from burnout, but this case of it might as well have set Corey on fire. Actually, a year ago, Corey made a community post where he talked about all his frustrations while managing the NewScapePro channels. He talked about how he deleted his videos because he felt like they weren't up to snuff, how he suffered burnout from managing and scheduling content nearly every single week. The post just gives good insight into what was going on behind the scenes of the channel. The NewScapePro channel itself is still around, but mainly consists of re-uploads of the creepypasta roleplay and SCP content. Corey himself actually made a comic book series, which you can go check out now if you want to see what he's doing. However, most of the people who worked on the original channel moved on to other things like game tunes. Yep, NewScapePro is the progenitor of Sahur! I want to end off the video by just telling you all why NewScapePro has been such an influential channel in my life. You see, when I was younger, and even still now, I've always been obsessed with like different pop culture topics. However, I've never had the confidence to actually express what I liked. Most of the time I was just an observer looking in on people enjoying themselves in their element. But eventually I came across NewScapePro and it really allowed me to actually look at things that I liked and keep up with a channel that talked about each of the different topics I was so obsessed with. So I really wish I had a better vocabulary so I can put these feelings into a more Shakespearean way. But in short, NewScapePro made me a pro at looking at newscapes within myself. Yeah, that was really bad. End the video.